Peace be upon you. How are you, my friends? Please love my friend, the viewer, subscribe to my channel, and activate the bell. I hope you like it. It is presented by Kalem Imad Rifat. We have worked a lot in preparing the video. Please subscribe, and the episode has begun to be enjoyed. Watching. It is a heavy waterfall on the Niagara River and is located between the city of Niagara in the American state of New York and the city of Niagara in the Canadian province of Ontario. The highest height of the falls on the American side is 56 meters and side, Canadian 54 meters. It consists of 3 waterfalls, the most famous, which is the Horseshoe Waterfall on the Canadian side, and the American Falls, which is straight, separated by Goat Island. There is a small waterfall on the American side called Bridal Veil Waterfall, next to Luna Island.
Located on the Niagara River, which drains Lake Erie into Lake Ontario, the falls have the highest flow rate of any waterfall in North America that has a vertical drop of more than 50 meters, 160 ft. During peak tourist hours of the day, more than 168,000 m3 flows. 6 million cubic feet of water flows over the top of the falls every minute. Horseshoe Falls is the most powerful waterfall in North America by flow rate.
The falls are located 27 kilometers, 17 miles northwest of Buffalo, New York, and 121 kilometers, 75 miles southeast of Toronto. Niagara Falls was formed when glaciers retreated at the end of the Wisconsin Glaciers, last ice age, and water from the newly formed Great Lakes carved a path through the Niagara Escarpment on its way to the Atlantic Ocean. The waterfalls are used to generate electricity and attract many tourists, making this an important economic landmark in the region. The waterfalls were discovered by a Native American who erected a statue of him next to the waterfalls on the American side.
Historians have predicted that Niagara Falls is about 10,000 years old, as it was formed at the end of the last ice age. These waterfalls are located in the Niagara River and branch off at Coss Island into the American Falls, which is 305 meters wide, and to a semicircle of the Canadian Falls, Ludkova, into which 94% of the water flows and is 792 meters wide and 48 meters high. From behind the American Falls, you can walk to the Wind Grotto, which was formed by the influence of water. Niagara Falls is considered a major tourist attraction due to the large number of tourists, as 26 million tourists visit it annually, especially in the period between May and September. The most important areas are visited, which are the Cave of the Winds and the Rainbow Bridge, in addition to doing what is known as Journey B. Its scenery was exploited in filming many international films, including parts of the Pirates of the Caribbean film series and a Superman film. In October 1829, the famous American adventurer Sam Batch was able to successfully jump from the top of Niagara Falls, becoming the first person to survive that jump.
Theories vary about the origin of the fall's name. According to Iroquois scholar Bruce Treasure, Niagara derives from the name given to a branch of the local neutral nation, the Niagaraga people, who appear on many French maps of the region in the late 17th century. According to George Stewart, the name comes from an Iroquoian town called Onguiara, meaning a patch of land cut in half. In 1847, an Iroquois translator stated that the name came from Jaoniaka-Ray, meaning a patch of land cut in half.
Henry Schoolcraft said, Niagara Falls, this name is Mohawk. This means, according to Ms. Kerr, neck. The term was first applied to the portage, or neck of land, between Lakes Erie and Ontario. By quoting Mr. Eliot's vocabulary, Chapter Tupperth, it will turn out to be a human neck, that is, according to concrete vocabulary, his neck is an onyera. Lee Red Jacket pronounced Niagara in the spring of 1820 as if it were written, Oneaugara.
Several figures are mentioned as being the first European arrivals to see Niagara Falls. The Frenchman Samuel de Champlain visited as early as 1604 while exploring Canada members of his expedition informed him of the presence of magnificent waterfalls, which he described in his journal. The Finnish-Swedish naturalist Per Kalm explored the area in the early 18th century and is credited with the first scientific description of the waterfalls. Macram has a consensus on the first description is the Belgian Louis Hennepin, who observed and described the falls in 1677 before Kalm, after traveling with the explorer René Robert Cavelier, Sieur de la Salle drew the attention of Europeans to the falls. To complicate matters further, there is reliable evidence that French Jesuit missionary Paul Ragueneau visited the falls 35 years before Hennepin while working among the Huron First Nation in Canada. Jean de Brébeuf may also have visited the falls while spending time with the neutral nation.
The only recorded freezing of the river and falls was caused by an ice jam on March 29, 1848. In 1912, American Falls froze completely over, but the other falls continued to flow, although the waterfalls usually freeze over in most winters. However, the river and waterfalls never completely freeze over. Partial freezing of the falls was recorded in the years 1885, 1902, 1906, 1911, 1932, 1936, 2014, 2017, and 2019.
The name Ice Bridge was also common in certain years at the base of the falls and was used by people who wanted to cross the river before the bridges were built. During some winters, the thickness of the ice sheet ranged from 12 to 30 meters, but this thickness has not occurred since 1954. The name Ice Bridge was also common in certain years at the base of the falls and was used by people who wanted to cross the river before the bridges were built. During some winters, the thickness of the ice sheet has been 12 meters to 30 meters, but this thickness has not occurred since 1954. The ice bridge in 1841 was said to be at least 100 feet, 30 meters thick. On February 12, 1912, the ice bridge that had formed on January 15th began to collapse.
Ships could bypass Niagara Falls via the Welland Canal, which was improved and incorporated into the St. Lawrence Seaway in the mid-1950s. While the seaway diverted water traffic from neighboring Buffalo and led to the demise of its steel and grain mills, other industries flourished in the Niagara River Valley with the help of the electrical power produced by the river. However, since the 1970s, the area has declined economically. The cities of Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, and Niagara Falls, New York, United States, are connected by 2 international bridges. Peak visitor traffic occurs in the summer when Niagara Falls is a day and evening attraction. On the Canadian side, floodlights illuminate both sides of the falls for several hours after dark until midnight. The number of visitors was expected in 2007. 20 million, and by 2009 the annual rate was expected to reach 28 million tourists.
The oldest and most popular Niagara Falls tourist attraction is the Maid of the Mist, named after an ancient Indian mythological figure from Ungiara, who has ferried passengers to the rapids just below the falls since 1846. Cruise boats operate from boat piers on both sides of the falls, with Maid of the Mist operating from the American side and Hornblower cruises operating from the Canadian side.
On the American side, the American Falls can be viewed from trails along Lookout Point Park, which also features the Lookout Point Observation Tower and the Maid of the Mist boat dock. Goat Island offers more views of the falls.
Thank you. The video has finished. I hope you will subscribe to the channel. Presented by Imad Rafat, may God's peace be with you, my friends, to meet in God's most beautiful country.